When you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. I am Mira George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. It's a beautiful Friday morning. Really happy to be in your company. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Those of you in the Caribbean and those of you viewing us on the live, it's a beautiful Friday morning here in Scarborough, Tobago. We're coming to you live from the third floor, Port Mall, Lower Scarborough. And like I said, beautiful. We've got a hint of sun out there, but we understand that there may be some rain later on, according to today's forecast. But whatever you're going to do this morning, we trust that you're going to remain safe. Julian is not with us this morning, but we've got quite an interesting program lined up for you. At this time, viewers, we're going to head on over to News in 90 Seconds with Candace.
Thank you, Ria. I am Candace Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Friday, 2nd December 2022. The court struck out the defamation lawsuit brought forward by the former political leader of the Tobago Council of the PNM, Tracy Davidson Celestine, against Chief Secretary Fali Augustine over the zipline controversy. In the lead-up to the January 2021 THA elections, Augustine accused Davidson Celestine of corruption for the failed zipline project. The case was struck out because of the failures of Davidson Celestine's legal counsel to make the necessary submissions on time. As a result, she's preparing to refile the lawsuit for defamation with different legal counsel. Meanwhile, Boris, Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, has urged participants in the Tobago Carnival Soca Monarch, Calypso Monarch and Stars of Soca competitions to use a portion of their prize money to invest in themselves. At the prize-giving ceremony, Boris expressed pleasure with the talent showcased on stage for the Tobago Carnival. However, she wants to see Tobago's artists push themselves to be bigger and better in the coming year. While the secretary stated that the THA remains committed to supporting the growth and development of artists, she believes they must use some of their earnings to improve their craft. And from Trinidad, Cabinet approved an allocation of $150 million for flood relief efforts in Trinidad. Recent precipitous weather conditions resulted in communities around Trinidad remaining underwater for several days. Many residents recorded high losses of personal and commercial belongings, while some lost their entire homes. Road infrastructure in some places also deteriorated because of inclement weather conditions. Out of the $150 million, the Cabinet designated $100 million to address road infrastructure, $40 million to assist flood-affected residents, and $10 million for farmers who suffered losses. And that was your news in 90 seconds. It is back to you, Ria.
Thank you there, Candace. Thank you so much. Viewers, at this point, we're going to head on over into our birthday lineup, and then we're going to let you know what's coming up on the program this morning. So as we head on over into our birthday segment this morning, first up, celebrating a birthday today is Dr. Wendell Wallace, a son of Tobago's soil, celebrating his birthday. Dr. Wallace, love going out to you this morning from all of us here at Tobago Updates. And this is one of our avid viewers, and I know that Julian would have been more than excited to have sent you birthday greetings on air this morning. This is Dawn Dempster, who's celebrating her birthday tomorrow. So it is birthday in advance. Happy birthday going out to you this morning, Dawn Dempster. And this is a very special one here, and this is Madeline Applewhite Waldron. And birthday greetings going out to you this morning, Madeline, from your loving husband, Ainsley, your children, Ethan, Elissa, and Elliot, your sister, Cancia, and your dear friend, Vernris, and of course, the entire Simon Frederick family. So love going out to you this morning, Madeline. And this is our friend out there of our long days ago. And this is Davia Chambers celebrating her birthday. Davia, love going out to you this morning from all of us here at Tobago Updates. and Preston Thomas. Happy birthday going out to you this morning, Preston Thomas. And love from all of us here at Tobago Updates. And this fine gentleman, Mr. Larry Telesford, celebrated his 93rd birthday on the 1st of December, which was yesterday. So belated birthday greetings going out to you this morning, Larry Telesford. And this is a special one coming to you this morning from Anna. Yes, Letitia. And all of us here at Tobago Updates have a really great one. And that was quite a short lineup, because usually on any given day we've got quite a long line of birthday celebrations. Well, viewers, just to tell you a little bit about what's coming up on the program this morning, we're going to be chatting with Ian Williams and Edison Thomas, and they both representing the Tobago Information Technology Limited. And they're going to tell us about Mira, M-E-R-A, which is a mobile emergency response alert. They're going to tell us more about this. So I'm telling you, call a friend, dial someone, share the live, and let them know what's happening on Tobago Updates. And then after, we're going to be chatting with Sonny Craig, Assemblyman, area representative of Buku Mount Pleasant, and he's going to chat with us on Bago Wonderland 2022. And then Adrian Wheeler is going to be closing us off this morning. He's the Youth Presiding Officer, and it's all about Tobago Day Annual Youth Debate that takes place later on today. And if I'm not mistaken, Tobago Updates is going to be taking you live from the chamber for the youth debate, which is all attached to the Tobago Day celebrations right here in Tobago. So quite an interesting and beautiful program. Just to let you know as well, send a shout out this morning to some of our sponsors. So we say good morning this morning to Checkpoint. You can always check out Checkpoint, Classic Cuts by Arkeda. We've got Stasha Cosmetics, good morning to you. House of Norma, good morning. Hair Sanctuary and Phyllis Grant. Phyllis Grant can be contacted on 479-4285, and she specializes in anything natural, anything to do with natural hair. But at Hair Sanctuary, you can get anything for your hair, whether it's relaxed hair, natural hair, you've got a ras, you've got Douglas, whatever type of soil that you've got, they've got what you need to take care of your hair. Just My Size, Joy's Fashion, and Mateo's. You can check Mateo's, and they are at the Christmas Village. And if you haven't been there yet, because I haven't been there, but I plan to take a sneak peek sometime today. Today is the final day at the Christmas Village, which is happening at the Esplanade, the Scarborough Esplanade. So we invite you to take a peep, take a visit, walk with a little money in your pocket. All right, so we invite you to visit the Christmas Village that's taking place down there. Well, viewers, that's just about it here for us. So this is your opportunity this morning to share the live, share the live, share the live. But just before you share the live, we've got Ian Williams and Edison Thomas, IT manager of the Tobago Information Technology Limited, coming up on the program just after. So share the live, share the live, share the live.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Spread Christmas joy and cheer with a loan from Lambo Credit Union this year. Get 100% financing for shopping, home renovations, furniture and appliances, debt consolidation, and much more. Did we mention no payments until the end of January 2023? Get the most flexible repayment periods and the best interest rates around. Call 639-5060 to book your appointment today. Or visit us on Facebook or Instagram. Wishing you a happy holiday from Lambo Credit Union. And remember, we are always here for you.
was a while before Christmas, and all through the land, people was putting away house with very little money in hand. They was painting and cleaning and doing their chores, but I went to hunt for deals at American stores. Deals on living and dining room sets, on fridges and stoves, beds and cabinets, on washers and dryers, small appliances cheap, even TVs and stereos, prices just can't be beat. So let's Christmas together at American stores. After all, what they tell me, anything could be yours.
Anything can be yours at American stores. Do more, live more. Do more, live more. This is how it's gonna go. Do more, live more. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. And everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. Do more, live more. They better look up below. This is your show. And everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Welcome to Lamarche Parfait Day Spa and Wellness Center, your premier spa experience located at Bonaccord, Tobago. Visit us today for facials, cellulite treatments, body contours, body treatments, pedicures, manicures, and much more. We have gift cards for all occasions and corporate events. Connect with us on Facebook at Lamarche Parfait Day Spa or call us 273-7772.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry, if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement, and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
Good morning, morning, viewers. Welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are chatting this morning on set with us, Mr. Ian Williams, the IT manager for the Tobago Information Technology Limited. Along with him this morning, Edison Thomas, who is the marketing specialist attached to the Tobago Information Technology Limited. And this morning, viewers, our focus is on Mira, which is a mobile emergency response alert service. All right, it's not an app, it's not a device, but it's the entire service. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ria.
And to your viewers.
How are you doing?
We're doing very well, and I'm really happy to have you guys on set with us. Let's talk about, and I want to throw this to you this morning, Mr. Williams. Give us an idea this morning of what Mira stands for, M-E-R-A.
All right, so.
And the mind behind it.
Nice, no worries. For that, though, I'll pass
You're
it to
going to pass
Mr.
that?
Thomas.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Thomas.
All right, so Mira, as you said, stands for the Mobile Emergency Response Alert, right? Mm-hmm. It's a system, it's a service, it encompasses the whole system, which includes our Mira call center, which is housed at TITL, right, Tobago Information Technology Limited. Mm-hmm. It also involves the service, the emergency response device that you see here, right?
Okay, and we want to get some close-up shots
we're
of that.
We're going to go to that as well, right? So it encompasses the system and the device as well, right? Which allows the user to have 24/7, 365 access to emergency services at the most vulnerable moments. Yeah.
Okay.
So we at TITL, we know that we operate the 211 service, right? Which kind of dispatches to police, fire, ambulance. And we would have saw the need for persons who are the most vulnerable or certain persons being able to have a device where they will be able to, not necessarily their phone that they need to shuffle through their bag and dial a number, but they need that emergency immediately. And so we came up with this device and we programmed this device to meet that need, to be able to have those persons get that emergency service when they need it, as they need it.
So we're talking about a medical alert.
Right. So it's for medical emergencies, right? It could as well be for security emergencies.
Right.
It could be for even disastrous emergencies like fires and stuff like that, because we have seen instances in Tobago where persons were trapped in their homes and there's a fire and they might not be able to get to their phone, right? But if they have this on their person, no matter what time of day, no matter what time of night, they'll be able to just activate it and get that emergency response immediately. And we could save lives.
So what are we talking? Are we talking about wearing it on the person? Is it that you have to have this on you 24/7? How am I putting it around my neck? Am I putting it on my arm? Is it an anklet? What is it?
Right. So yes, it's on your person, right? So you can have it attached to a lanyard, right, around your neck, right? There's the attachment for that. You can also accommodate for it being on your wrist, because there's also the attachment for that as well, right? The anklet, not so much because of the optics, you know, they might think of it like a kind of ankle bracelet kind of scene, you know, but yeah, it's on your person all the time. And so if it's on your person all the time, then you have that emergency access. Sometimes your phone might be, or for some person, your phone might be in the other room, right? Or your phone might be charging somewhere, but this one, you have this one on your person all the time, yeah.
All right, no. Yes, I know you've got more information.
Yeah, definitely. So from a technical standpoint, just telling you what the Mira device does. It's SIM card enabled. So it does not just limit someone to their home. You're coming to Scarborough, you are going to have a time with your friends, you still do have that device as your personal companion. Also, it is GPS enabled. So if you get into difficulty, the persons within the 211 contact center or that Mira section, they can actually see where you are located. All right, so that actually helps in terms of liaising with the emergency providers, etc., quickly to ensure that you have that kind of support.
Is it that Mira always has to be activated by the person who's wearing the device? Or let's say, for instance, the Mira is forgotten in the car and the car is stolen. Will the GPS automatically?
We can use Mira to track it, definitely. Mira can also, continuing from the case in terms of the personal companion, for persons living alone, it's equipped with fall detection. So if someone has a fall within the bathroom or within the house.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah, it actually asks you, we will call in 3 seconds. If it's not an emergency, cancel now, and then it contacts the 211 contact center for you.
All right, now I want to we're going to do a test run this morning, are we not?
Yeah, we're going to
do a test run because you've got the device in your hand.
Yeah.
And like Mr. Thomas said a little while ago, this is a service. So it's not just about having a device around your neck or on your wrist. So let's give it a test run this morning.
All right. So this is a new device I have here. Let me check.
You can hold it up so our viewers can see what it looks like.
Press and we hold, and within probably about 5 seconds, you get into that emergency. Oh.
So he just
no, so I'm not going to press it. It wasn't on, so apologies. Right, so the device is going to run now. All right, so once you run the device, we just point it at the crowd. All right, so within 5 seconds, the device contacts the contact center, so you actually hear the device there. And if I can...
Ask her to repeat?
Yes, hi. Can you repeat for me? Good morning. Who am I speaking with?
Good morning. This is Natalie.
Hi, Natalie. Good morning.
Hi.
This is Ian. I'm using the test unit. You're actually live on Tobago Updates. All right. We are just showing the public of Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago that the technology is very connected and very fast and efficient in terms of linking to you agents at the contact center. All right. So thank you for that.
You're most welcome.
Can I ask you one more question? Are you able to see things such as alerts, etc., my battery, my location?
Yes, we are. You can
All right.
see your GPS signal and your battery level.
Right, and you could, I'm seeing a light here, so you can tell me the status of my battery currently now is?
Yes, your battery is low.
Battery is?
The
My battery is low.
Is low.
Thank you for that, all right? All right, thank you.
So actually, when the battery is low and is about to die, the contact center will contact you and tell you it's low, so you need to charge it. So they will make sure that the device is on at all times. So in case, you know, even if you forget, they can remind you.
That's the companionship we're looking for with this device.
Gentlemen, let me tell you something. This deserves applause on air. This really does. And I have to commend you. I'm thinking of persons who have, in fact, I'm thinking of my elderly father. I'm thinking of my elderly uncles and those persons who are, I want to say over 50, but I'm almost there. So I'm not going to say over 50 just yet. So persons maybe a little bit older, in the 60s, 70s, but persons who live alone, yes?
Yes,
yeah,
definitely. Yes.
And who else? I mean, who else can utilize this apart from the elderly?
Right. So there are persons with chronic diseases as well who are prone to prone to life events like stroke or heart attack, right?
Diabetes,
spiking, so diabetic, yeah, exactly.
Dropping.
Right. So there are persons who have had strokes before and they experienced that before and they would not want that happening again. So they have the device now so that even if they experience one and they experience a fall, the call goes out automatically. Also, the device has a feature called geolocation or geofencing, right? Which it creates a virtual boundary around wherever you want it to set, multiple virtual boundaries, right? And so what that does, it alerts persons, it alerts the contact center when you leave or enter that boundary, right? So this could kind of use case for a person with Alzheimer's or dementia.
Who go beyond the boundaries.
Right, if they tend to wander sometimes and their loved ones sometimes cannot find them. So you could set a virtual boundary for them, and if they wander outside that boundary, there's a contact that goes to the contact. There's an alert that goes to the contact center.
Do I always have to activate? Does the person wearing it always have to activate if they fall, or is it automatically activated upon a fall?
Automatically. But what we'll ask you about once or twice, is this a real emergency? If not, cancel now.
Right.
It gives you that opportunity to cancel, and it goes in within about 3 or 4 seconds, and it contacts that agent. All right?
And not only that, it has next of kin alerts, which if the alert is legitimate and it goes out and we confirm it's legitimate, an SMS goes out to your next of kin that's listed, right? So it could be your son, your daughter, your mother, father, sisters, whoever, close companion. And we also at the contact center will contact them and let them know that an emergency, the alert was triggered and we need to contact. You need to contact your loved ones and make arrangements.
And this is just in case. This is the backup plan.
Yes.
So we have a very robust standard operating procedure to ensure that all bases are covered.
Yeah.
All right. Now, just like the 211 call center, which is 24/7, is this service being offered 24/7?
24/7, 365. As long as the device is on.
There's no holidays, no off days.
Just as the contact center is operating, you have that access to emergency services just like that. Right?
How can persons, because I know viewers out there are excited, how can persons access this service?
All right, so you can call the contact center, 639-1987, right? Someone there is willing, is waiting and willing to take your information, right? You can also visit us online at titl.tt, right? There's our Facebook handles as well. Shoot us a message, right? Tobago Information Technology on Facebook, or just search TITL. and all of our social media handles will pop up. You can shoot us a message, and we will answer any inquiries or any issue, or not issues, but any questions you might have.
Question coming in from the live. Shala Ramsey Roberts is asking, is the device water resistant?
The device is water resistant, but there's a vast difference with water resistant and waterproof. So you can take water, it can be splashy in the rain, but I wouldn't advise you to go into the pool with the device.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, the submersion it here, but splash, you're good to go. Right? So you might get a little splash from the shower and stuff, you're good to go.
But I somehow foresee that within the next year or two, that that will be possible. You'll be able to go swimming, and should you encounter any, emergency.
Definitely, because we have some other at beta now, some other versions of this, that's wearable, etc., that we're actually working on. So that's within the pipeline coming. And once that's why we keep saying service. It's a service. So even though this gets better, we just replace this, and you always have a service going on.
What is the criteria for accessing Mira?
There's no criteria or no prerequisites. Once it is that you know that you might be a vulnerable person or be vulnerable in a certain event, give us a call, and we will take it from there. Because also what Mira allows us to do is that we will have your information on file, right? If it is that you were a stroke patient in the past, you're suffering from diabetes, hypertension, you have a certain disability that would preempt you having an emergency, we have that on file. So when it is that we contact the ambulance, we will let them know already, all right, well, this person has this XYZ ailment or XYZ situation.
So they come in prepared.
So they come in prepared. Yeah. Sometimes, they might come and be asking you a bunch of questions, right? And it takes up time, 100%. Right? I don't see why not. Well, see, we know security is of utmost importance, especially in this climate, right? And there's situations where parents might be worried about their children, and they will want to know where the children are, right? They can have they can have this device on them and be able to have either the children contact them in case of emergency, or if they want to know their location, even if they can't make the contact, they want to know their location. That is possible with Mira.
All right. Gentlemen, we have to commend you here. And a viewer on the live says, Mr. and Mrs. Williams, you surely made them proud. Keep up the good and proud. Keep up the good work, my brother. And Ian, I believe that one is for you. Julia Brown is asking, is there a fee? Avian Williams, is there a cost attached to this service?
Yes, so there is a cost attached to the service. We have to keep the service running, right? And there will be background costs associated with that. So the monthly service fee is $210. Right, and there's an initial registration fee of $150 that's payable one time, right, for setup and everything like that. But the continuous subscription fee is $210 per month, and there are packages as well. If you are prepaying in a number of months, there's 5% for 3 months, 10% for 6 months, and there's 15% for a year. Right. So they will have all those packages if you're taking the device for months at a time and prepaying on it. But it's $210, the base is $210.
Does it matter who the device is purchased for? For example, let's say you purchase it for a relative who is elderly, the person passes. Can the device be passed on to another person? Do we have to come in to say, well, Mr. X, Mrs. Y is no longer around, they no longer need the device, it's now being used by Mrs. B? How does it work?
Well, I could say you should come in and update the information in the background, because as I said before, the person on file, we would have specific information about that person, right? So in case of emergency, we could let persons know in advance. So if it is that the person, there shouldn't be no administrative issues on our side. But in terms of just having the information on the new person that has it, right, that is very important. So you should not just pass it on, but come in and we will handle you from there. We'll make sure we take the necessary
And mind you, something like that could even be done in writing so that you don't even have to leave the convenience of your home to come to TITL.
Correct.
Okay. So Robert Warwood says, is asking a question. Is this the only device like this in the country? Do we have anything like this in the country?
We came across one person that has something similar, but definitely not like Mira. All right, all-encompassing service that takes care of all the different groups that we spoke about, from the elderly to the vulnerable, children, you name it. So I think it's unique in that sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for being on the program with us. And that number to call again is 639-1987.
Yeah, 1987.
All right. For more information, you can call that number. But I think, and do you have enough to service the islands?
Of course, as the need arises, and we're making a case out of this, as the need arises, we will have to, put ourselves into a position too. So
And
once
Mira, go ahead.
once the demand arises, definitely we can service.
But Mira operates only in Trinidad and Tobago.
We operating in Tobago at this point.
Okay.
Trinidad is something that we have envisioned because you have different challenges such as the service providers, the delivery. You need to have some persons on the ground there just to kickstart it. But these kind of talks are ongoing.
Ian, how far? Let's talk very quickly about the parameters of Mira's operations. We have Scarborough to Crown Point, north side. Sometimes the service is a little bit tricky. Have you tested the device as far as Charlottesville, as far as north side?
All right, so we have tested the device throughout the island. And in addition to that, when someone signs up for it, part of our operation is that we go to your premises and we carry a test unit. And we'll actually run that test unit to ensure that, you can't have this service or you're not having any connectivity on either of the networks. Because this can't work with either of the operators that we have here, the red or the green. So, so that's how we take care of that coverage issue.
Question coming in from Avion Williams. Can it be used for more than one person at a time? So husband and wife, do we need to have separate devices or can we use one?
Husband and wife living within a premises, you can use one. I think the only downside that person will have to compromise with is if someone is leaving and someone is staying.
Right.
How do you as a group deal with something like that?
How do you decide
Exactly.
who gets to take Mira?
Exactly.
So we'll always push that, an individual device per person. But if that's the case and persons, they want to go that route, it can work.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, viewers, let me give you the contact number. It's 639-1987. You can call them for more information. But gentlemen, I really want to thank you, and I have to applaud you. Really doing an excellent job, leading the way. Tobago again, leading the way in technology.
And just like how we built with Smart, we're not just paying lip service to technology and technological development. We're actually doing the push and showing Tobagonians that, okay, yes, we can teach you about technology, but we can also use technology to make your lives a lot better and to have comfort and security, just using technology.
All right. Very quick question here coming in from Julian Skeet. Yes, I'm putting
Morning,
you out
Mr.
there.
Skeet. Morning,
All
Mr.
right.
Skeet.
Does Mira replace the original 211 system introduced years ago in homes currently?
All right. So that's I think he's talking about the EMAS system, the EMAS system, right? Yes, Mira is an upgrade, a 100% upgrade from the EMAS system. The EMAS system was immobile, so it was kind of analog. It jacked into your telephone port, and it's stationary, so and there is no GPS location, there's no tracking capabilities and stuff from that system. It's just an alert, you get to it and you press. But Mira, the system is a 100% upgrade from that, right? So we would advise anybody who is currently on the EMAS system, and we will be reaching out to you as well to give you that option to upgrade to the Mira system. It's much better.
All right. He says he thinks the Division of Finance and 211 was involved in the initial distribution years ago from his memory.
He's correct. Yeah, 100% correct. The Division of Finance partnered with the TITL, and we rolled that out to, I think it was initially 169 persons. All right. But if you currently have an EMAS device, we will be contacting you. We're giving you that option to upgrade to Mira.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you again. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. And certainly this is some exciting times that we're living in, okay, that we can actually see this unfold here in Tobago. Again, Tobago leading the way in technology. I'm so happy to say that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Lots more to come.
Definitely, a lot more to come. Viewers, lots more coming up on the Tobago Updates morning show. We're going to be chatting just after the break this morning with Assemblyman Sonny Craig, the area representative of Buku Mount Pleasant. And this morning, it's all about Tobago Wonderland 2022. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
The Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection is moving to better serve you. Turn left onto Glen Road. Another left onto Montessori Drive. Welcome to the new location of the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection.
Was a while before Christmas, and all through the land, people was putting away house with very little money in hand. They was painting and cleaning and doing their chores, but I went to hunt for deals at American stores. Deals on living and dining room sets, on fridges and stoves, beds and cabinets, on washers and dryers, small appliances cheap, even TVs and stereos, prices just can't be beat. So let's Christmas together at American stores. After all, what they tell me, anything could be yours.
Anything can be yours at American stores. This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
This is it.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Exhale Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Put a smile on your face
When you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, morning. All right, viewers, welcome back this morning. And I have my backup in the background here, but you see my backup singing in just a little while. Just to remind you here that Sandy Point Village Hotel presents to you Sandy Point Goes Blue 3-in-1 Family Fun Day on Saturday, the 3rd December 2022 from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. The Blue Economy event is about educating and sustaining the blue economy culture through education. At the event, we have a pop-up shop with local entrepreneurs, storytelling with Auntie Joanne Atkins, on the environment and biodiversity. A zoo will be present, art installation using paint and mixed media. Children doing a blue economy art painting collage or challenge. Lots more activities and giveaways. Bring your children out. Okay, it's an all activities and events are free to the public. For more information, you can contact Samantha Malcolm at 1-868-343-9907. Okay, that's 1-868-343-9907. And to introduce to you this morning, yes, my backup singer this morning, Assemblyman Sonny Craig, who's also the area representative for Buku Mount Pleasant. Viewers, this morning we are talking about Tobago Wonderland 2022. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, Mrs. George. Good morning. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning to the world.
It's good to have you with us this morning. Now, I realize that you struggled a little bit there to remember the surname because you've gotten so used to saying Anterior, right?
Anterior.
Okay. All right. Well, it's always good to have you on the program. Now, let's talk a little bit here about Tobago Wonderland. Before we get into anything, tell us about Tobago Wonderland and what is what is behind, what are the thoughts behind Tobago Wonderland?
Well, it's the way we close the year culturally. We have treats, Christmas parties, and at Buku Mount Pleasant, we just thought that this year we could try and take it a little further. The first of 4 installations, of course. So this is really a test run. Right. So Tobago Wonderland, we wanted to recreate a mini Coney Island type feel.
Right.
Right. We have booked up some interesting activities. We have the regular face painting. We have the regular bouncy castle and so on. But we have some surprises coming in from Trinidad. It promises to be something really special. And I hear all the time about Winter Wonderland.
Right.
So we thought we could put a twist on it and bring something more Tobago-centric into the celebration, you know?
So there'll be no snow.
Come from.
So there'll be no snow.
And we have problems contacting Santa Claus also, but he'll send a representative most likely. But of course, there'll be no snow. There'll be no snow at Tobago Wonderland.
No snow in a Tobago Wonderland, exactly. You know, Winter Wonderland, you can expect snow, but in a Tobago Wonderland, what else can we expect in a Tobago Wonderland?
Well, we're catering for the children of Buku Mount Pleasant, Canaan.
Right.
Let me just give a little historical touch because we wanted to hold the event at Canaan. But kite flying is an integral part of Christmas in Tobago.
Yes.
But you can't fly kites in Canaan. Proximity to the airport.
Right.
It's a risk to the airlines and so on. Mount Pleasant is under repair.
Right.
So where do we go? Right back to Buku. Buku holds most of the events for my district. And the integrated facility is the obvious choice right now. So we are at Buku. We're bringing up, we're having merry-go-round. We're having, we're still trying to negotiate some other events that I don't want to speak to until, but it promises to be a really exciting day. We are inviting all the parents. You don't study to cook. We'll have little meals on sale and so on, because it'll be from 1 o'clock till 6 in the evening. And all the children who are registered in my district, of course, they get everything for free, right? Well, they get the party bags, of course. That's part of the culture. And you remember when you used to get your party bag, the kind of excitement you felt?
I remember. I mean, it's so long ago. I mean, I haven't had a party bag. I don't know if Tobago Updates is going to do anything this year. We're going to receive party bags. But yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, those days our party bags were brown paper bags.
That's right.
Yes, but now
so we moved from that?
Yeah, we have these beautiful, colorful bags now. And you must get an apple in there. Those days, you had apple for Christmas only.
That's right. But now apple is all
over, and you'll have a toy and so on. So every child that comes to Tobago Wonderland will get a party bag, you know. But the gifts, Santa's representative informed us that the gifts are for the children of Buku Mount Pleasant, Canaan exclusively.
And so, how do you know who's coming from where?
Well, our staff went door to door. To a great extent, and there are those who we know, of course. The area is a growing area that people have moved into the area, and we didn't want them to feel left out. Once the children are a part of our community, we want them to be a part of the celebration. So they would be given their tags to identify them, and of course, that gives them free hot dog, free popcorn, a reasonable amount of stuff. If they are big eaters and they want to go beyond, of course, they could go and buy something by the food court, you know?
Right.
There's a food court for the parents and the supporters and persons who will be coming in from all over Tobago just to be a part of it. So they could get the refreshments at the food court.
But mummies and daddies who will be accompanying children will not receive these things for free.
No, they would not.
They would have to pay.
Of course, yeah.
This is open. This is free to the children of your constituency.
That's right. And the kite flying competition. Now, kite flying is, Tobago might be the only place in the world where you fly kites at Christmas. It's the primary or the premier time to fly kites. You go to other places, it's Easter, some places where they have summer, they say summer.
Right.
But in Tobago, we do it at Christmas. So we have a kite flying competition, and we want to see the children come out. We'll be looking for some of the indigenous kites, some of the what we call the Christmas kite, the moon kite. There'll be a chikichong category.
I'm sorry, you're out of my league here. I don't know.
Give me a paper. Give me a paper. The chikichong is the simplest kite in the world, you know. As children, we used to fold this one way, fold that this way, yeah, and tie a string on these 2 points.
All right.
And you bust a hole here. Now to get it right, you put a little spit on the finger and you touch the paper and make it moist, and you bust a hole here.
Right.
And you string up a piece of paper too, and you make a tail, and you put 2 strings here, and it's gone.
And that's your chikichong kite.
Easy like that.
Now, I can actually use this. This is my flyer from Pastor Baines'. And it's all decorated. It's already decorated.
Yeah. It looks good. It looks good.
Yeah.
So
I can probably use this here.
Yeah, of course. Do you know there's a cocoa kite also?
No.
The leaf of the cocoa plant.
We need some education on the different types of kites.
The leaf
kites in Tobago.
The leaf of the cocoa plant is designed, and its dynamics are perfect for kite flying. You could put string on a cocoa leaf and fly it comfortably, and it will fly with all the other kites.
Here's one for someone to try. What are the categories for the kite flying competition?
We're going to have prettiest kite. We're going to have a category where the first kite to go up after the sounding of the horn. So we'll have all the kite flyers line up, and we're hoping to negotiate. We're still negotiating with the primary school ground next door. We have them line up, and on the sounding of the horn, the kite that goes up and stays up first, that's our winner of a category there. So we have prettiest kite, we have the loudest kite, because
you want to hear that?
Yes, you want to hear that. You want to hear that. And since a child, I always saw the kites with Christmas, because during the night, there's a challenge of having the kite that could stay up the longest, but we wouldn't be there to witness that. But where I grew up in Boko, we used to leave the kites up for nights, sometimes for a week. I've lived in areas where I've been hearing kites over my house for days, for more than a week. And I always compare that to the star of that was around at the birth of Christ.
The Star of David.
I always call that kite the superstar. That's the one that stands out and guides the way. You know what I'm saying? So we will not get that category this year because the judges will not be able to stay on side. But the kite that goes up first, and of course the best flying kite.
So you've got to test that kite.
You must test the kite. You could come with a beautiful kite. If it doesn't fly, you don't get a prize. Your kite must fly and it must stay up. Yeah?
It's the most beautiful kite. So I tell you, kite paper is going to be selling like that.
Yeah.
But persons have to, I mean, there are persons who purchase their kites, and then there are those who take the time to make their kites.
Yes. Well, if you're coming with a purchased kite, come with a kite that is indigenous to the Tobago Christmas kite, right? There are those who buy the kites from the Chinese make kites and export all around the world. Those kites will not be a part of the most beautiful kite and so on competition, because they come branded almost like your chikichong there. Right? So it's different to the guys who sit down and cut the kite paper piece by piece and match it together, and you get a beautiful work of art. We must give credit to that.
Definitely. Now, tell us when all of this is happening.
Well, of course, it's on the 18th. It's Sunday the 18th at Boko Integrated Development.
Right.
And it would be beginning at 1 o'clock. And we go until, well, the sun sets early. And in true Tobago style, you must get home before the street light comes on. Have you gone through that one?
What's that?
Going home before the street light comes on.
Not yet.
Oh, you're too young for that.
No.
As children, if the street light come on and you're on the street, you're getting it.
It means you're late.
You're late. So we're going to be locking off about 6 o'clock. I mean, I just throwing that in for fun, but we're locking off about 6 o'clock. That gives, because we're dealing with children, they're most likely to be tired by that time, very tired. It gives them a chance to get home, freshen up, and get to bed early, because it's one of the practices of disciplined and ambitious children. They go to bed early. You know that.
That was in our time. I don't know what's happening these days.
It's still obtained. I think it's still obtained.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. You indicated earlier that the registration is for the children of your constituency.
Yes.
But is there still an opportunity for others to register?
Well, we have been getting some late registrations, and what has happened in the Tobago space is that sometimes you have a situation where some parents, not the children, some parents would like the children to be in every Christmas party on the island.
Yeah.
So they would call in and they would say they're living at an address in my district and to get registered, you know. But of course, we double checking everything.
Right.
Because we could end up with a situation, an unmanageable amount of children.
And the children who really are there.
Yeah, Santa's representative might be in some problems if he cannot supply them, right? So we want to ensure that every child that comes, that lines up for their gift is actually of our district, right? There are other parties in other areas, right? And I advise parents to touch base with your representative and ensure that your child is in line, because in some areas they'll be having the drive-by parties where the truck come down the road with Santa's representative and the children come out on the street and collect their gifts under music, and you get your drinks, you get your food and everything, and which is another, I think, a classic idea. So everybody is in place to receive something special this Christmas. So I wouldn't encourage parents to try to where's the word, storm Tobago Wonderland. I don't want the child to be disappointed. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, that should not happen.
No, you hinted about 3 times that Santa may not be there, but he may send a representative. And I'm wondering if this year in particular you are grooming that beard to sign up, to register, to put in your application to work for employment at the Wonderland.
Well,
I'm wondering.
You hit it correct, you know, because I wanted to shave this beard a while now, but I'm watching it and I'm saying, look, no, this could really pass for Santa. Look at it. But if his rep doesn't, if all else fails, the representative has to represent. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm on standby to fill in. You know, when you're in leadership, you end up being the janitor if you have to. If you have to sweep up, if you have to decorate, whatever it is. But I must congratulate my staff. I have an excellent staff in my district office, and they are working very hard to ensure that this event comes off successfully.
Feel free to call some names and shout them out.
We have Mrs. Jenny Ann Baines, we have Brittany Kwamina, we have Miss Carla Melville, we have Nedra Beckles.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you taught with Nedra. You work together, right?
That's my sister friend. That's my sister friend.
So those are my district staff, and well, Miss Melville doubles. She works multiple spaces, so she's just assisting us on this project, right? And so those are my district staff. They are working very hard. I want to thank our sponsors. We have some sponsors. As a political person, I wouldn't call their names without their permission, you know, because you know we're not politically mature enough to understand that somebody could assist me with. There are people who vote who I know are sympathetic to all the political parties or on another side, and they are still supporting me.
Right.
But in a politically mature environment, I'll be able to call out all the names comfortably.
Yes, and I understand that.
We are not there
no
yet.
need to apologize.
We are not there yet. So if they do not object, well, in due course, you know, our sponsors, whoever you are, you know who you are. We are very thankful that you are on board with us on Tobago Wonderland this year.
All right, and to contact your office, how can persons contact
All right,
your
we are
office?
610-6538, and critical, 610-6538. The kite flying competition will have a registration fee of $20.
All right.
So those who are interested in competing in the kite flying competition, you go by our district office. We are directly opposite Moorset Supermarket in Book Road. Moorset Supermarket, the pink building directly opposite. The phone number is 610-6538, and you go by and register for the kite flying competition, right? And it promises to be exciting. It promises to be something special. And our hope is that with the success of this initial installation, we would be able to make it better every year, right? And into my new term, should the people of Tobago hire me one more term, we'll just continue going, right? Yeah, so that's where we are.
Very quickly here, as we're wrapping things up, not on the Tobago Wonderland, but very quickly, the previous interview with Ian Williams and Mr. Thomas on the service, that Mira service that they were offering. Wearing your hat now as Assistant Secretary for the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. What are your thoughts on that service being offered to Tobago?
I got in just as they were winding up, you know. I didn't get the essence of the conversation, actually.
Okay.
Maybe you could brief me.
It's a medical alert system, but leading the way, Tobago leading the way again in technology. So if you fall, it is automatically triggered to call the 211 call center.
That sounds fantastic. Because you see, Tobago is we have not been able to really. My God, I can't believe that. I thought I took it off. All right.
These things happen. Things happen. Right. Somebody just wants to say hi.
All right, there you go. Right. So, Tobago is uniquely placed to lead the way in so many endeavors. But our biggest challenge is our inability to cash in on our family status. All we are one family. We brand that, Nelson immortalized that, and it's a reality.
Yes.
Yeah? You will not go anywhere in Tobago, meet a room of 100 people, and you cannot link yourself to one of those Tobagonians or more. So what we have here is what outsiders call a captive market. This is a place where you could come in. When I worked at TSTT, some of the innovations they had to try out, they started in Tobago. Because now we would talk to each other and we would share our concern about how the thing is working and so on. You know, in Tobago, growing up, there was a time when news traveled so fast. You couldn't believe it. You in Roxborough and you know somebody dying in Crown Point last night.
There was no technology, there was no cell phone, no WhatsApp.
So we are so poised, but sad to say, some of us are not cashing into that Tobago-ness, if there's such a word. But I'm happy to hear what you're explaining, and it's a nice place to test any new product, especially these great ideas, because I know it's something practiced overseas already. Yeah. But to bring it to Tobago that's really fantastic, and I think Tobago will benefit from that. Yeah.
All right, definitely. And it's good to get your thoughts on that. But we've got to wrap it up here, and I want to thank you again for being with us. Yes, already. Time flies when we're having fun, right? So a special good morning going out this morning to Mrs. Craig, to all the members of the staff there at the Assemblyman's office, and love going out to you guys today. And we're going to leave it there this morning. But, you know, just before we go very quickly here with regards, I should have asked the question, viewers, when Ian Williams and they were on set. I should have asked the question about tracking. And they mentioned here that tracking, that ability to track. And can persons track each other? And I'm hoping here husbands don't start purchasing for wives to track, and wives don't start purchasing for husbands to track. All right, Julian, you know, maybe I think you need a tracker. Julian, you're going to need a tracker. You're the guy that needs a tracker. Just before we go, Assemblyman has something else to say, yes?
Yeah, there's a challenge when you call names, you know. I forgot Kerry. I forgot Kerry Ann Peterson. She's one of my hard workers also. And I'm going to get some links. There's somebody else I'm not remembering at the moment, but I just had to stick that in before I leave this morning. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, and that happens when you start calling names. You tend to forget somebody.
Yes.
All right. So nobody gets left out. All right. Well, we're gonna leave it there for today. I'm gonna thank you so much for joining us today and this week. Have a great day. Stay safe on the roads. We've got great things happening this on GMT. Yes, good morning. The counselor was so wrapped up in whatever was being said in the studio. See, that was her look of interest. She was just so intrigued. Okay, so Councillor Tashia Boris is coming up on GMT with Candace in just a little while. We head on over to Tobago Notes. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, Tobago. And we will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
The competition targeted youth ages 12 to 18 years. They were asked to creatively express their understanding of Trinidad and Tobago's independence via a short video presentation. Speaking to the recipients, Chief Secretary the Honorable Fali Augustine says focusing on national values dissuades youth from deviant behavior.
It's so important that we get people, young people especially, feeling a sense of pride, pride in self, pride in community, and pride for your country.
Placing third with an inspirational group submission inspired by the Mighty Sparrow, Calypso Classic, The Slave, was the Mason Hall Police Youth Club, represented by 17-year-old Kyra Manswell.
It kind of displayed everything that we was looking at. So while he sang, we also sang for ourselves, and we looked for backgrounds to like display what he was saying. And we went to the fort, and we went and we had a lot of fun actually.
The runner-up was St. Joseph Convent San Fernando student Renata Ramlogan, age 17. Accompanied by her mother, Nalani Harry Ramlogan, Renata says she entered the competition after seeing the flyer posted on Facebook.
Trinidad and Tobago is my home, and that's where my heart is, you know. I can go anywhere in the world. But that drove the passion that I put into the video, and I hoped that those that watched the video would be able to get that passion, because though Trinidad has other issues like crime and poverty in some areas and all of that, Trinidad is a beautiful place. Tobago is wonderful, you know, and that is home, and that is heart.
The winner was another 17-year-old Signal Hill Secondary School student, Joselle Dan. She delivered a powerful presentation that she hoped would inspire greater patriotism in the youth of her generation.
I actually spoke to some of my friends and I asked them, what is independence about? And they say, oh, that is the thing, is just go and watch fireworks about. They don't know the backstory about it. And I took this as an opportunity for me to allow other individuals to learn about the history of independence, not just about, you know, it being about fireworks and marching bands and you get to eat snow cone and all of that, you know. So it was basically me wanting to educate young persons within my age group about their history.
Accompanied by her father, Joel Dan, Joshelle was elated to take the top prize. She's urging Tobago's youth to make the best in every effort to support nation building.
Take all your education seriously. A lot of people put a lot of effort into making sure that you are here. You have the opportunity to learn. I have friends in other Caribbean territories that don't get to go to school for free, and we have it here, so we should use that opportunity wisely. You see, we have a lot of initiatives here in Tobago, and I'm also encouraging them to take part in it. It will make a positive change in their life, and therefore it will help to better our island as well.
The My Independence Story video presentation competition was held in commemoration of the Trinidad and Tobago's 60th anniversary of independence. First prize was $3,000, while second and third finishers earned $2,000 and $1,000 respectively.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region, with the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine. I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. Over a zip line controversy, in the lead up to the January 2021 elections, Augustine accused Davidson Celestine of corruption for the failed zipline project. The case was struck out because of the failures of Davidson Celestine's legal counsel to make the necessary submissions on time. As a result, she is preparing to refile the lawsuit for defamation with different legal counsel. Meanwhile, Tasha Boris, Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, urged participants in the Tobago Carnival, Calypso Monarch and Stars of Soca competitions to use a portion of their prize money to invest in themselves. At the prize-giving ceremony, Boris expressed pleasure with the talents showcased on the stage for the Tobago Carnival. However, she wants to see Tobago's artists push themselves to be bigger and better in the coming year. While the Secretary stated that the THA remains committed to supporting the growth and development of artists, she believes they must use some of their own earnings to improve their craft. And nationally, Cabinet approved an allocation of $150 million for flood relief efforts in Trinidad. Recent precipitous weather conditions resulted in several communities around Trinidad remaining underwater for several days. Many residents recorded high losses of personal and commercial belongings, while some lost their entire homes. Road infrastructure in various places also deteriorated because of inclement weather conditions. Out of the $150 million, the Cabinet designated $100 million to address road infrastructure, $40 million to assist flood-affected residents, and $10 million for residents who suffered losses. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Well, viewers, yes, we're coming close to the end of Beneath the Surface, our Beneath the Surface series, but of course, we're not quite done yet. And on set with us this morning, we have none other than Councillor Tasha Boris, who is the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. And of course, you know, tourism is always a major topic here in Tobago. And, you know, we've got a lot to ask her. And she's got a lot to answer, so hopefully she's up for the task this morning. So a special good morning and welcome to you, Ms. Boris. How are you doing?
Good morning, Candice. I'm good this morning, and good morning to all the beautiful viewers of Tobago Updates this morning.
All right. So now we're going to get straight into it, but we're going to start with, you know, just to give us an idea of who you are. Because before accepting this role, you presented yourself in the 2020 general elections for the Tobago West seat. Of course, you were not successful, but you remain committed to the politics and you remain committed to the PDP party. But who were you before you stepped forward?
Well, I have been a young professional for the last 20 years. I started working when I was 17, basically. And I've worked across the spectrum. I worked for the THA previously. I've worked at the Port Authority. I've worked at the Police Complaints Authority. So I've worked in various roles as a supervisor in customer service. Really focused heavily on treating with customers. I worked as a youth auxiliary in the youth department, coincidentally under Tracy Davidson Celestine when she was the assistant secretary at that time. Basically, I have been in this space as a young professional for over 20 years. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree as well, so I'm very big on studying and very big on academics. I was actually just started my doctorate program before I got my appointment. I have subsequently had to stop because obviously this work takes up so much of my time at this time. But to be honest with you, in terms of joining politics and what led me to that place, I really honestly did not like where our island was going. I think that we, this generation in particular, we have been exposed to a number of opportunities that have allowed us to grow and to harness our talents and our skills. And just sitting on the sidelines, like going on Facebook, complaining about things that you're seeing is not enough, especially when you have children, and I have 2 children. So more important for me, or the most important thing was, what am I doing to help create the society that I want to see? And there are times when you simply can't just talk anymore. You have to get up, you have to act. And that was the thing that led me into politics. I always had an interest generally in being very vocal about my views, being very clear as to what I wanted to see happen in terms of development, being very active and participating in the voting process when it came along, constantly reading and trying to get from our leaders. What are their plans? What are their visions? And how they want to go about executing those plans and visions. Certainly, I did not expect politics to be that road for me, because I actually joined the party to work behind the scenes, because I felt, I'm a person, I like to be more in the background, I like to be in the engine room, I like to be the brains behind the operation, that kind of thing. So coming out in 2020 and running for the election was a very interesting experience. It really helped me grow as a person. Certainly, you have to get rid of certain fears when you decide to get into politics. It's a brutal world sometimes, because the reality is that I think people forget that politicians are humans too, so that we also do make mistakes. But the thing is that making mistakes in the public eye, you're almost crucified for it, to be honest with you. And we do have to be careful that we're not tearing down our leaders before they have the opportunity to really grow and blossom into the kind of leaders they need to be. In this time, we really have to be, I think, sensitive in particular, because our leaders are under a tremendous amount of pressure. There is so much work to be done. And the reality is that in the last election, the mantra was, let we fix this, not let me fix this. So there is a component there that speaks to how do the persons on the other side of the coin now contribute to fixing whatever the challenges are. Right. So, I mean, politics to me has always been a part of my life. My father has been one to advocate for us to read the newspapers, look at TV. So certainly I look at this opportunity to be a leader in this time as a gift. So I've always tried to be walking a particular road in terms of that leadership responsibility that is there. And I just want people to understand that the road is not easy, but I think we will get there together if we decide to work together.
Certainly. And now coming from that, I mean, you come from a situation where you're on the outside looking in, but now you're on the inside yes. trying to get it done. But we all know that the view from the outside is so very different from the view from the inside. It is, yeah. And what can you tell us about that difference? And how has that, how have you dealt with the difference?
I think that what is missing, I guess what is missing from that viewpoint when you're on the outside is that you largely don't understand how government works, because you may be aware of how the electoral process works. But that's different when you're now elected and you have to go in to get things done. It's easy to jump up and say, I want to get 15 things done this year, but in reality, you only have money to do 5. But even if you only have money to do 5, you could only do 3 because you only have the human resource to be able to do 3. And then when you finally do the 3, there are varying levels of success depending on all the processes that you had to follow to get the 3 things done. So the reality is that on the outside, you have a lot of ideas. It's easy to point fingers and criticize. But then when you're on the inside, and you recognize that there are real challenges to delivery. The challenges to delivery largely are caused by at least in the Tobago space, insufficient funding. Because the reality is that when you look at what we have to do to drive Tobago's development forward, if we are only waiting on something in the region of between $250 to $300 million per year, it is snail's pace, movement. And the reality is that Tobago needs an injection of somewhere in the region of $1 billion to get the kind of development we want in the time that we want. Schools have to be repaired. We have a whole Scarborough Secondary School that has to be rebuilt at the cost of somewhere in the region of $500 million. So when you think about what is the size of our development program budget, and the fact that we have to actually rebuild a secondary school for that amount of money, you think to yourself, how do we get these things done? Climate change, you see what has been happening over the last few weeks with respect to the weather, and the fact that we are always constantly dealing with road blockages, landslides, our road infrastructure is failing because we've not had massive upgrade of our road infrastructure in a very, very, very extremely long time. And the kind of money we'll take to upgrade our road infrastructure, certainly we wouldn't get all that money in 1 year, even if we were to give all the money to one division to do that job. So it really is us trying to divide a very small pie into many pieces. And, people want to see delivery now, but people have to also understand that there are steps that have to be taken, and certainly due diligence has to be at the forefront of those steps that are taken, so that we now have to sit in the chair and prioritize. But when you have a list of 15 important things to do, but you literally only have money for 3, how do you then go to explain to persons who are facing the fallout of the other 12 things not happening, look, we can't do this right now. but we're hoping to be able to get it done later and for them to understand fundamentally what is at stake. So I think that generally we probably need some more education with respect to how government works and how money moves from central government to THA, how THA now has to allocate that money, because during the budget we use a lot of big words. We talk about allocation, we talk about, we use different budgetary terms, but how is that translating to the average man? How does the average man understand the role of government versus the role of other entities in this space? How does the average man even understand his responsibility to participating in governance and being part of that decision-making process? And we have a lot of work to do. You know, it starts with our education system, certainly, and it also entails people being very open to listening and understanding exactly what are the challenges we face. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, certainly, but when you use that, I mean, coming up from that point, and you're applying it to things like such as the cruise ships coming into Tobago, because that was one of those things that many of the people that are on your team, including yourself, had issues with. You know, we have a cruise ship coming in, and it's great, we have cruise ships coming in, but when they start to walk through Scarborough and so on, there isn't that much. Yeah. And so people were looking forward to seeing something different.
Well, you see, but think about it like this, Candice. We were closed for 2 years for COVID. We literally spent no money on any major upgrade to Scarborough in years. The PDP campaign on a plan for the Scarborough, the city of Scarborough, that costs money. So that, you know, in terms of us being able to now give Scarborough a facelift, so that when cruise ship starts to come back, they see something totally different. We're still in the feasibility study stage of that in terms of trying to determine how this new city of Scarborough should look. The reality is that we cannot wait until we get that to welcome back tourists, because the reality is that tourism is a very important pillar of our economy. So we make do in the meantime. Part of what we have to look at in terms of being able to put our best face forward and put the best products out there for persons to experience is, we know we have challenges in Scarborough. So what we have to do, and this is coming from even the tour operators who I've had conversations with, some of the things that the cruise lines have been asking for is varied and updated tours, because the tours you see being offered are tours that have been offered for a number of years. Yes. But they want to see what else is there. And that is why I would have to implore people to get involved in the sector, because there is room for the sector to grow. People want to experience different things when they come to Tobago. I mean, some of the standard tours they have would be, for example, to the Cocoa Estate, or they'll go to Pigeon Point, they'll go to Argyle Waterfall, they'll go to different places, and those tours have been on the books for a number of years. But now our young people, using our creativity and our innovation, why don't we have a foodie tour? Why don't we take people on a tour across the different villages so that they could taste some of the indigenous food that Tobago is known for? Participate in, for example, a dirt oven bread making tour. So they drive up to Castara, they're there, they get a tutorial, you get to knead your own little loaf and you put it in, and you get, these are some, we have entrepreneurs who went to that training that ComDev had, and they know how to make very nice local wine. So why don't we have a local wine tasting tour? We're pairing it with different things, because you have to recognize that appetites are changing. People want different immersive experiences.
Certainly. And then how are we getting that those ideas or that spark of innovation into our public? Because like I said, we have the talent here and we have a lot of it set up. It's just about organizing it.
Well, see, that's the thing. People need to first want to get involved, because it's not like if we're going out in the street with on a speaker with Michael Baker and saying, okay, well, get involved in tourism. These are some of the things you could do. First, you have to show an interest. There are different organizations. So if you want to get into tour guiding and providing that type of service, there's a Tour Guides Association. THDI has been offering introductory courses in different things, and they also have an introductory course in tour guiding. So that it has to start with the person. There are opportunities available for persons who are interested in accessing these opportunities, but people simply have to look for the information, ask the questions. When you ask the questions, you'll get the answers, you'll get the guidance. Certainly in terms of that stakeholder engagement, we are in constant communication with our stakeholders. In fact, we have someone on the tourism agency board who is responsible for cruise shipping. So he's the guy who would pull all these people in a room and we will discuss everything surrounding the cruise ship industry. The thing is that the cruise ship industry is not like the airlift industry. You could pay planes to come, and they will come. If you pay them, but they'll bring no people. But they will come because they're getting paid. You can't pay cruise lines to come. They have to see value in your destination. They have to make an investment on their end in terms of deciding to make your destination a port of call. So we have to do the work to make Tobago an attractive place for cruise ships to call. So service is part of it. Service offerings is part of it. Attractions is a conversation, yes. We as a people have to embrace the idea that we want tourism, because sometimes, even sitting in the seat that I'm sitting in, I'm not sure if it is we actually want tourism. Because when you look at the challenges that we've had with service delivery, for example, and the level of customer service, you have to ask yourself, do we really want to welcome people to our island? Now, I know Tobagonians are naturally friendly, naturally open. We open our homes around Christmas time, harvest time. You see that Tobago warmth, that Tobago love. So it's there. But I was listening to the chief at a presentation he did, and I really must ensure that that presentation goes out, because it really encapsulated some of the challenges that we're facing and the way that we could combat it. Tobagonians can't flip the switch when visitors come, so it can't be an on-off switch. You have to be nice all the time, welcoming all the time. I'm not saying that people need to be walking around with smiles plastered all over their faces. We know that there are challenges, certainly, but especially if you're forefront customer service sector, understanding what that requires and understanding that we're not just competing amongst ourselves, because there's no competition within Tobago. The competition is outside. The competition is in Grenada. The competition is in Barbados. We now have to ensure that our standards at least meet those on the outside and certainly exceed them.
What we've been seeing in recent years is that we're getting more of a tourism-centered education here in Tobago with our secondary schools, with the tourism clubs and so on. However, we're not seeing much of them being filtered into tertiary level studies where tourism is concerned, and then of course coming back to contribute towards our development. Where is that missing link, and what is the role of the division in perhaps, you know, taking it to the next level with our students?
Well, you see, the thing is that people look at the sector is highly unregulated from a standpoint where it's a very low barrier to entry, because the jobs don't attract the best talent, because they may be more on the lower paying side in terms of minimum wage, and it's a highly labor intensive job in some instances. For example, if you're working housekeeping, if you're working front desk, if you're working in food and beverage, it's long hours, highly labor intensive. That's not very attractive to the average young person. You know, we've met a culture where most people are only interested in like an early morning work or something like that, or they're looking for jobs that don't take too much out of them physically. The reality is what we now have to do is at the level of the division, and I have to work in tandem with my counterpart in the division of education. We now have to forecast what the needs would be for the future growth of the tourism sector. And those jobs are not just jobs on the lower end of the scale. We would have to be looking for middle management and senior management persons. We'll have to look for persons who can operate at the level of maybe the CEO of a company or a hotel or a major restaurant, so that we now have to look at how do we get these people involved in becoming interested at that level, because certainly what you may find is when we invite the investment, for example, the hotel developments that are on the books, the Rocky Bay project and all of this, the Marriott, they will be hiring at the lower levels of the scales. So people who are on the lower level of the scale will have an opportunity to be employed. But when you look at who the managers are and the senior managers are, most oftentimes they're persons that they bring in on the outside. The reality is that our sector is still very much in its baby stage, because you will not have anybody who hardly have persons who will have that kind of experience working in a 4-star, 5-star establishment, because we don't have these things existing in Tobago. So what has to happen on our end, certainly when these hotel chains come and these developments start, training is a key component, because we want to ensure that at some point in time we can transition to our locals being able to get opportunities to have jobs at the higher end of the scale. But we have to do the necessary background checks. We have to ensure that we build those things in to any agreements that we sign on to in terms of any kind of support. We have to ensure that our people get first opportunities to be trained for jobs, and trained not just for entry-level positions, but for higher-level positions. And certainly at the level of the schools, if we're going the way of incorporating that tourism into that curriculum in a very meaningful way, the clubs yes, have their job to do in terms of drumming up that interest and keeping young people engaged and excited. It has to extend to the communities because that's a plan. We want to take our tourism clubs out of the schools and continue in the communities so that persons see persons at all levels and at all ages being involved in driving that tourism sector growth, even at the community level. And certainly we have to begin to identify those young people who may have that talent, who may have that passion, who may have that spark to guide them into that stream. Whether that stream is to go and study at UE, whether that stream is to study through THTI, whether it be that we get into some partnerships with some universities to do some exchange programs, whatever that is. But we now have to begin to train our citizens, our nationals, for the future of the tourism industry.
All right. Well, on that note, viewers, we just have to take a quick break. But when we come back, we are going to get more into it with the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, Ms. Boris.
Spread Christmas joy and cheer with a loan from Lambo Credit Union this year. Get 100% financing for shopping, home renovations, furniture and appliances, debt consolidation and much more. Did we mention no payments until the end of January 2023? Get the most flexible repayment periods and the best interest rates around. Call 639-5060 to book your appointment today. Or visit us on Facebook or Instagram. Wishing you a happy holiday from Lambo Credit Union. And remember, we are always here for you.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show.
It's a different type of thing down there, and we party till we drop down there, with a lot of pretty girls down there, down in Tobago.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
The Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection is moving to better serve you. Turn left onto Glen Road. Another left onto Montessori Drive. Welcome to the new location of the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. And yes, viewers, we are continuing our Beneath the Surface discussions. And on set with me is none other than Miss Boris. And of course, she's the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities, and Transportation. Now, we were speaking a little bit, we started to get into tourism a bit and before we went into the break. But I just want to kind of get a little bit personal, especially where tourism and so on is concerned. What are your personal views on tourism and what that should mean for Tobago?
Oh, that's a very broad question, Candice. You know, the sector has so much potential, and I hate to use the word potential because I think, you know, we get stuck on the word potential and we don't move past it. When I listen to visitors to the island, they remark about how beautiful it is, how peaceful it is, how they feel like if they're transported into Robinson Crusoe times and they're on a deserted island, because we really are very green and unspoiled, and you have that whole, you know, mystery when you come to Tobago. There's so much to discover, so much to explore. And for me, I'm not sure if the people who live here truly appreciate what people on the outside see. They see a gem in the middle of the Caribbean Ocean, the Caribbean Sea. But in actuality, when you're a citizen and you're kind of on the inside, I think we take where we live for granted. Honestly, I mean, I've traveled extensively. I mean, I love to travel, but now travel equates to work, so it's not as relaxing as it was before. But when I look at, like, you know, bigger cities and you know, they have traffic, they have smog, they have different things. And you come to Tobago, if you stand up in traffic for more than 5 minutes, something has to be extremely wrong. You know, you could walk out your house and breathe the cleanest, fresh air that is there. You could move from beach to forest to heights in literally under an hour. You have spectacular views across the island. The reality is that we do live in paradise, and I think that we as a people have to learn to appreciate that more. Because the reality is that people who do not have that as their point of reference will come here to enjoy that. And what should make them choose Tobago? I think that one of the things that sets us apart from our counterparts is not just how beautiful we are, but certainly our rich culture and heritage that people can immerse themselves in. I mean, when you think about our Heritage Festival, when you think about the talent that we have among our creatives on this island, I think we have more creatives per square mile than any other place in the world, and we have so many people with untapped potential waiting to come in. We have so many things that we can rejoice about, and I think that we kind of have to focus on the good and focus on the positive, focus on that thing that really I think could set us apart. We as a people, I mean, I think sometimes as a society we feed off the negative.
Certainly.
When you go on Facebook and stuff, the bacchanal, the commerce, the lacqueray gets 1,000 likes, 1,000 shares. But the good news doesn't travel as far. And I don't think we celebrate our good news. We have so many stories to tell that are good stories. And I think that those are the things that need to be amplified in the media, because when you feed a people on a diet of hate and negativity, that is what your society becomes. And we're seeing the results of that. Certainly, I don't want Tobago to go the way of Trinidad, where Trinidad now has over 550 murders and counting. I mean, we do have a crime situation in Tobago that we have to get a handle on. But the reality is that we also survived a pandemic. We looked at the news and you looked at other places where thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people died from the effects of COVID-19. And we are still here. You know, we did lose some loved ones, certainly. But we are still here, and I think that we have to look at each day that we get as a gift. I've had to deal with people who still have beef with somebody since 2019,
Yes.
and I've implored people, well, cook that beef, make a sandwich, you know, make some soup, because we survived the pandemic. I'm not sure if people understand what that means. We survived, which means that we have another opportunity to grow. We have another opportunity to be better. And I think that people need to focus on the opportunities, focus on what can I do? What part can I play to make this place a better place? And if we're approaching things from that standpoint, then it means that you want to get involved. You want to ensure that whatever your contribution is a positive one, that you're not just sitting down on the sidelines and criticizing.
Certainly, because I mean, when you look at tourism is all about that experience, that you give to people when they come into your space. And that's really what sells a destination, and not just the hotels, not just an airport or any of that infrastructure. It's really the experience. And COVID-19, of course, changed things around the world. And you've been out quite a few times in various places at the trade shows, etc. What are those people now saying on the outside about what they want to experience here in Tobago?
They want that immersive experience. When I was in World Travel Market in London, we had a meeting with some of our diaspora persons in the UK. And one of them, who is a second generation Tobagonian, she indicated that when she visited the island, and all there was like, depending on where she's staying, she could go to the beach, there's nightlife, but she wants to know what else is there to do. And the reality is that there's always something to do in Tobago, but we really do not market ourselves well internally, I think. Because certainly you don't want the visitor to come, because the modern day traveler is now more savvy. They are not just jumping on a plane and saying, well, when I get there, I'll figure it out. They are the ones who are doing the research beforehand. They are the ones who will go on our website. They will type into Google 10 best things to do while you're in Tobago. You know, they have access to information at their fingertips. What we have to do on our end is make sure that that information is accessible, because certainly it's not for a lack of things happening in the space, but it's about collating and curating that information so that somebody who is visiting can go to one place and get an idea of, okay, there's a bonfire in Castara, there's a pig roast here, there's a karaoke night here, there is a bumboat race festival here, there's a big festival coming up, or there's a big production being put on by T-Park, or there's, you know, different things so that people have an idea when they come, hey, tonight there's 5 different things going on in 5 different places. This is how I get transportation. This is the duration of these activities. This is the cost of these activities. There's a number that I can call. I'll get a human on the end of that line to give me additional information if I need it. And then I can book my excursion or my activity. So we ourselves have to invest heavily in bringing up the standard of that product. And that's why digitization is one of the thrusts that was mentioned as part of the budget. And we've gotten some assurances that there would be an allocation for that, so that businesses in the tourism sector can now focus on making themselves more easily accessible to the tech-savvy traveler. Because everybody has a smartphone, certainly, and people are going to use it. So, and they get the good, but they also get the bad. And that is why the media is important. Because I'm not saying that the media should not report the things that are not so good about the destination. But I think that what we have to do is amplify the good, the same way how we sometimes amplify the bad. Because that's what people see on the outside as well.
And how important is that that the experience offerings that we currently have? How much of a role that does that play in terms of getting an airline to come in, getting that airlift? Because we know that once there is direct airlift, that's more encouragement for people to come in. Because people don't like to be flying 2 and 3 days. I mean, they do it, but it's not the ideal.
No.
So how has that impacted the airlift that we are attracted right now?
Accessibility certainly has been one of our major challenges. So we had 2 airlines coming out of the UK source market. We had Caribbean Airlines doing domestic, and they started their Barbados leg earlier this year. They also restarted their JFK leg earlier this year. But that has largely been it in terms of direct access to Tobago from anywhere else in the world. So that what we're looking at is really entering new source markets, getting into Canada again, because Sunwing is no longer with us, getting into the Scandinavian market. We welcomed Condor just 2 weeks ago, so we're back in the German market. But the reality is that Tobago has been a destination that people have been in love with for a very, very long time. European travelers are looking for a place that's off the beaten path. They want to go into the communities and stay. They want to go hike in the rainforest. They want to sit at a local cafe and eat local food. They want to have these kinds of experiences, so that when we talk about packaging and marketing Tobago in a particular way, it's to attract those travelers who appreciate that unspoiled kind of island vibe, because people travel for different reasons. Some people love big cities, but some people like getting lost in places that they would not normally get lost in. And that's one of the things that I think that we certainly sell very well on the outside. Our silver award from Wanderlust magazine speaks to that, because the island that beat us was an island in the Philippines. So that you really, and most persons probably never heard of the island, yeah. But what you see really is that what readers want, what travelers want, is that they don't want big city. You know, they don't want the set of concrete and high rise and glass. And they want to be in nature. They want to immerse themselves in clean blue water. They want to sit on sandy beaches of different colors of sand. So to me, where the focus has to be in terms of being able to attract airlines to the island is ensuring that what we can give from the service offering perspective, because people also want accommodations and they want particular kinds of accommodation, so that we have to sell what we have. If the accommodation is a tent somewhere versus a villa in someplace else, there's a traveler for every possible type of accommodation that a destination can offer. We must be able to sell what we actually have. We can't be giving people cat in bag. You don't want to put out there that you have a 5-star establishment when in actuality it's 2-star. People want to know what they're getting for their money, because people will be weighing value options here. And they will want to say, why should I go all the way to Tobago when I could go to Jamaica, or can go to the Barbados, I could go to Hawaii, I can go to the Philippines, I could go to Bora Bora, any of these places. Tobago has to be very honest about where we're at in terms of what we have available on the island, certainly leaving room for us to grow, because there is room for growth, and as well as being able to attract, because for airlines, what is key to them, some of them is brand names. So that is why projects like the Marriott coming on board, and then we have a public consultation for another proposed hotel resort development in Killigwin that is happening on Monday. Certainly these types of developments would serve as an attraction to airlines as well. So a lot of things are happening simultaneously in the space. We will continue to court airlines and sell Tobago as a destination that they should add to their itinerary, and look and be able to offer them that value proposition for their travelers. And at the same time, we're doing the other work on the back end to try to get hotel development and boutique hotel development coming into the island.
Now, what would you say is something that shocked you or surprised you in your conversations about the airlines that we're not paying attention to here in Tobago, about what we need to really get them into our space?
Well, you see, the thing is that, remember, airlines look at their bottom line. They're not emotional creatures. So certainly they have to look at how much money it would take for them to fly into a destination, and would they have the capacity to justify that? Now, what has happened in the past is really we have been just paying airlines to come, not necessarily caring too much how many persons they bring or who they bring. And we've been paying out of our nose, because these contracts usually consist of the part that we pay as well as some money for marketing. But now we've asked questions. We're a new administration. We went and we asked, okay, so what have you been spending our marketing money on? Only to find out that we've not been doing our due diligence on the Tobago end to ensure that that money we're giving them to market Tobago is actually being used to market Tobago on the outside. So that's something that we immediately came in and had to change. Now we are going towards curating our own content. So TTL has hired a number of persons to now be able to create local content that we now manage, that we could now put out. We can pay for the placement so that we are sure where the marketing spend is going, and we're not just blindly giving it to an airline and hoping that they market Tobago on our behalf. So the reality is that when you look at the situation that has presented itself, airlines look at their bottom line, so that for them, they really have to see that need and that justification to fly in. I would tell you that from the end of Scandinavia, we have had a very robust sector there when it was open.
Yes.
We really had excellent value coming from those direct flights to Scandinavia. So we want to go back into that space.
And are we going to be able to get back into that space?
Well, we are in negotiations at this time with an airline. So we're hoping that once everything goes well, that they can start their service by winter of next year.
Great.
So we're still in talks. Certainly, Cal has come to the table to me in terms of proposing where Tobago can now get some more direct airlift, because Cal is our national airline. And we recognize that yes, Cal is in a position where profitability now is a challenge for them coming out of COVID. And because we were willing to put money on the table for foreign airlines, why can't we do the same and put some money on the table for Cal to give some extended services to Tobago?
Right.
So Cal is actually assisting us now in determining what are some of the routes we can possibly look at that they can service as well.
Now, at the heart of tourism as well is that of linkages. Because, traditionally when you look at tourism, you think about hotels, restaurants, tour operators, but it goes way beyond that. The whole the island in itself, every part of the island is very much connected with tourism. But we've had a very major problem over the past years towards forming those linkages, making that very clear across the board. Are we looking at doing that, even as to, put in an organizational structure in terms of how we do tourism? Perhaps, reflecting some of the models that we have that's working in St. Lucia, where it's just, when you look at the hotels and the tours, etc., they're so very much connected.
People don't have to understand that no man is an island. We've operated singly and divided for so very long. Everybody is in their corners. So taxi men on one side, tour operators over here, hoteliers on this side, restaurants over there. And after COVID, we recognize that people understand now that they have to depend on each other. When you talk about closing down a sector literally overnight, people now understand the value of the tourism sector to the Tobago economy. That's one. The second thing is that in order to build resilience, we have to unite. All of those parts of the ecosystem have to come together to work well. But people kind of have to stop seeing themselves as standing alone in the situation, because taxi drivers must be concerned what's happening with the hotels. Hoteliers must be concerned with what's happening with the restaurants. Restaurants must be concerned with what's happening with the tour guides, because they have to recognize that the traveler who is coming, that person is engaging all of those different touch points.
Yes.
And if at any time they have a bad experience along any one of those touch points, it means that somebody gets cut out of the gravy train. So that we have to really understand that in capturing that customer, it's not just for them to buy a plane ticket and come. They have to ensure that they get a quality experience at each touch point so that they will move on to the next thing. That if I have an excellent stay at my hotel, I want to go outside and eat at a restaurant. If I have an excellent experience at my restaurant and they recommend a tour for me, that I had such a good time, I'm going to go on that tour. I went on that tour and had an excellent time, and they recommend a taxi driver who could take me around. And I get to go on to that taxi driver, and that person gives me excellent service. That's that person spending money across all of those touch points. Any bad experience along any of those touch points can prevent the others in the chain from benefiting from that person. And that is what we have to look at. We have to strengthen that ecosystem. The plan is to reinstitute a tourism intersectoral committee that is going to treat with building out that ecosystem and building out the links and the communications that is required. But again, education is key. Our people have to understand that everything that we do impacts on the other person. You do not want to do something that impacts on the other person negatively, because you may get your money in the pocket, but it means that somebody else is not benefiting from the presence of that traveler because their experience with you was less than savory. So we need to get on board with the idea that we need to help one another. We need to help each other. We need to help each other help this sector grow. It's not just up to the administration. It's not just up to the secretary. It's not just up to the staff of the division, but it resides in all of us to do what we have to do.
All right. Well, we'll have to pause there for a second as we take a quick break, but viewers, don't worry, we have a lot more to get into, so please don't go anywhere. I'll be back after this.
Welcome to Lamarche Parfait Day Spa and Wellness Center, your premier spa experience located at Bonaccord, Tobago. Visit us today for facials, cellulite treatments, body contours, body treatments, pedicures, manicures, and much more. We have gift cards for all occasions and corporate events. Connect with us on Facebook at Lamarge Parfait Day Spa or call us 273-7772.
Our national borders, our first step to security, but a possible access point for guns, drugs, crime. If it does not look right, do the right thing. Call Crime Stoppers anonymously. 800-8477. Report possible border crime.
Advertise with Tobago Updates. Call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
Was a while before Christmas, and all through the land, people was putting away house with very little money in hand. They was painting and cleaning and doing their chores, but I went to hunt for deals at American stores. Deals on living and dining room sets, on fridges and stoves, beds and cabinets, on washers and dryers, small appliances cheap, even TVs and stereos, prices just can't be beat. So let's Christmas together at American stores. After all, what they tell me, anything could be yours.
Anything can be yours at American stores.
Never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, and yes, viewers, we are continuing our conversations with the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, none other than Councillor Tashia Boris. Boris, oh my God, that did not come out good. Anyways, before we went in, we were talking about some linkages and so on, and part of the linkages is that of transportation, which is of course your portfolio.
Yes.
But we know our transportation sector is it's lacking within our society.
We have some
Yeah.
challenges.
Yes, especially like where the buses is concerned, where the bus terminal, we continue to exist without a bus terminal.
Right. So the thing is that that responsibility doesn't really reside with the division per se. We will not be the ones to actually build a terminal. That has to come under Ministry of Works, because the bus terminal is for PTSC operations, which falls under the Ministry of Works. But we have a very nice relationship with the management of PTSC in Tobago. Certainly, I was able to meet with the Deputy General Manager earlier this year when I was doing my round of stakeholder engagements. And, you know, she pointed out some areas where there could be some collaboration between PTSC and the division. I was also part of a meeting earlier this year with the Minister of Works and the Chief Secretary with respect to transportation in Tobago. Certainly, on the books is having that bus terminus being delivered to the people of Tobago within this term, and that is the 4-year part. And we would continue to look at how we on this side, in terms of the THA, can continue to improve access to transportation in Tobago, whether it be through our local taxis, whether it be through our maxi system, because right now we're having a challenge in the east. Certainly the PTSC buses cannot go further than a particular point, they turn around. So I've been hearing the complaints about commuters on that side of the island. So we're working to see if we can find some solutions to that challenge at this time. But it really reveals that we have to do some major infrastructural works on our roads. Also with respect to transportation, now I want people to understand that these matters are not necessarily reside within the divisions. For example, I don't instruct the Port Authority. The Port Authority has a board, and we work with their management as well. They've been very, very helpful in terms of when we reach out to them, like for the carnival period, for example, in terms of putting on additional sailings and that kind of thing. And we have that open communication in terms of being able to treat with some of the perennial challenges that Tobagonians have faced with respect to traversing between Tobago and Trinidad. So in terms of transportation, that portfolio is more of having those links with those bodies that don't necessarily fall under the THA and ensuring that those relationships are open and honest, so that when we report to the people about what is happening, that we're all on the same page.
But what guarantees can you give that is different from what previous administrations have given?
Well, guarantees with respect to what kind
in terms of, you know, fixing our transportation system within the island, whether it's just for our people as well as those who come to visit us.
Well, the thing is that the THA has to take up its responsibilities as part of the fifth schedule. One of those responsibilities is certainly transportation. But you have to appreciate that based on our constitution, there are entities that also lie outside of the remit of the Tobago House of Assembly. Right. So if we have to go swim again, maybe I hope it never has to reach to that point. But certainly, so far, in terms of what I've seen happening, the doors have been open. They have been amenable to the meetings. They have been amenable to the communication. They're very clear in their mind that their mandate is not just to service the people of Trinidad, but they have an obligation to service the people of Tobago as well. And certainly we will not be sleeping on our responsibility. If we see them slip, certainly we know where we have to go to channel our concern or channel our complaint for it to be addressed adequately. The THA has to stand as the guardians of the people of Tobago and their interest at every point in time. So that's certainly the situation that we experienced a couple years ago with us not having that connectivity between the islands, no boats running. People have to be transferred from the port to go on the airport and that kind of thing. We would not want to relive those days under this administration, because certainly the information has to come to us in terms of how things are being operated, what we can do if there's a case where something has to happen, a boat has to go on dry dock, somebody has to be taken off to do some repairs, things like that. What are the mechanisms that are put in place to ensure that the people of Tobago are not the ones who are negatively affected by a situation that is largely outside of our control? So we have that responsibility to be the guardians. We have that responsibility to be the watchdogs of the interests of the people of Tobago, and that is a responsibility that I take very, very seriously.
How have you been able to deal with those things that are sort of out of your control, out of the remit of the THA? Like certain things like of transportation, like let's say the PTSC bus. Even though you have the responsibility for managing transportation on the island, there are so many components of it that are managed by central government. Yeah. And so how are you dealing with that?
Well, you see, the thing is that the beautiful thing about being part of the Tobago House of Assembly is if government fails you, you have an obligation to make sure that you have a plan B in place. And that's what we always look at. If plan A doesn't work, what is our plan B? And to be honest with you, for us to become ready for autonomy as a people, we have to start thinking for ourselves and we have to start standing on our own 2 feet. If PTSC doesn't run buses past Bell Garden, should we go and picket PTSC and protest and tell them you have to run buses? Yes, we could do that. But it still doesn't solve the problem. What solves the problem is that we have persons on the island who have small maxis. Why can't 2 or 3 or 4 of them get together and say, here's what, we're going to run this route between Bell Garden and we will go to the different stops up to Charlottesville. We will indicate to persons that we are starting from the Pantent area. You can take a blue band maxi there and you get to be taken up. It's going to cost this much. We have to become entrepreneurial because there's always opportunity in chaos. And we have to start to look for the opportunities in chaos. So that is certainly an opportunity for some fellas who have some small maxis to now establish something of a small route going there. And this is how you encourage people to get involved in business activities and entrepreneurial activities. Chaos is not just for us to throw our hands in the air and say, oh, we have a problem and we don't know how to solve it. We have to look for the opportunities in chaos. And certainly the THA is open to anybody who wants to solve a problem for us, to come in and solve a problem for us. And when I say a person, I'm talking about Tobagonians here, because what we would now want to promote that we become our own fixers, we become our own problem solvers in the community. If you have persons who are being negatively affected by a situation, Yes, we will write to PTSC and ask them if there's something that they could put in place in the interim. But also, we have an obligation, I think, to begin to solve our own problems. And that demonstrates to our central government that we're not waiting for them to solve our problems, that we are actively looking at what is happening in this space, and that we will now move in with a solution to ensure that our people don't continue to be negatively affected by a situation that is not of their own making.
What's been your experience in treating with some of these challenges and sort of like inspiring that innovation amongst the people? Because again, tourism is not something that can be done completely by the THA. It involves everybody. Yeah. And how have you been able to deal with that experience?
You know what I've recognized? I think that it's one of the biggest shocks that I've, not let me say bigger shocks, let me be real. People voted for change last year around this time, right? And change is a really nice word to use. It's really nice because it's easy to say, well, okay, we're going to wake up in the morning and we're all going to be passionate, we're all going to be positive, we're all going to be ready for the new thing. And the reality is that change takes time. But change requires a shift in mindset and a shift in culture so that you could change an administration. But if you don't give them the opportunity to drive the change, to do the things that would lead to where we want to go, we will stay stuck on stupid. Because to be honest, and this has been my personal experience, I've heard some persons literally kind of be upset with us because they're seeing us doing so many things in this space and they're asking themselves, what am I supposed to benefit from? I'm talking about, some supporters here and that kind of thing, because some of them literally probably wanted us to go into office and do the same thing that the previous people did before us. But the reality is that we don't just represent the people that voted for us. We represent every single person. We represent the interests of every single person on the island. And the thing is that we can't tailor our policies and our systems to just benefit a few people. We have to tailor what we're doing to benefit the most amount of people possible. So that in terms of driving that change in the mindset, for me, I have to get down in the trenches. Because part of the work that I've done and over the years and part of some of my skill sets, I have been a peer counselor for a number of years with the Tobago Youth Council in a previous life. And, part of that work involved me working with young people and treating with different topics and that kind of thing. And that was work that I enjoyed supremely. And I realized that I may have to come and do some of that stuff now. Go into the communities, have the conversations. I mean, sometimes when I have meetings with different persons and they bring, they lay their challenges at my feet or they lay their concerns or their complaints at my feet, I'm one to now say, okay, so what's the solution? Let's see if we can sit down and hammer out a solution, because it's not just enough to complain. Some people just simply want to complain and they expect you to solve the problem for them. But I'm saying that the solution resides within us both, because you have I don't have the perspective of the problem. I'm not in the community, I'm not in your shoes, so I don't have the perspective of the problem. You do. So if you're now telling me this is the problem, this is the challenge, I'm sitting with you and saying, okay, how can we solve this challenge? What can we do? Where can we go? What information do we need? And really that has to be a personal kind of campaign. And that is what I intend to do, particularly for this fiscal. Really what I want to do is get down in the communities and have the conversations, because our communities have so many assets that we can monetize from a tourism standpoint. Almost each community in Tobago has an attraction, a fort, a waterfall, a beach somewhere, a playing field. These are assets that the community can monetize, but they're just there. And what it takes really is getting into the communities and now getting people together through village councils, through different groups, youth organizations, sporting organizations, whomever the organizations are, and literally having a conversation about how do we monetize these assets? How do we use these assets to get more persons to come and visit the area? Because a tourist is not just a foreigner. A tourist is somebody who moved from Charlottesville to come to Crown Point and visit, because that person is spending money in that place.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and as you're speaking about all these things, I mean, and I know you've done quite a lot of work in terms of meeting with stakeholders. I mean, whenever we speak to you, always like you have quite a bit of meetings and so on to do. What toll has that taken on you?
Oh boy, I'm exhausted. I think that's the easiest way to put it, but passion drives me. I wake up every morning and the thing that keeps me going is that I took an oath to the people. I'm not a quitter. I don't know about failure. I've probably only failed one thing in my entire life, and I wouldn't admit it on air right now. But I've never failed an exam. I've never failed a test. I don't believe in failure. I believe in challenging myself and stretching myself and moving past my own limits. I'll give you a very personal example. The carnival was probably the biggest thing that in my life that I've ever had to treat with from the standpoint of I'm responsible for this thing happening. And that responsibility is not just to ensure that a committee does its work, but if they don't do their work, I am ultimately being held responsible for it. So I couldn't just leave it to go where it would go. I had to be involved. I had to be there every step of the way. I had to ask questions. I had to send persons back to the drawing board. I had to, because the reality is that one of the challenges that I have, I think, even in the position is that you're responsible for people and you're also responsible for when they don't do their jobs. It's different if you're working by yourself. Because if you're working by yourself and you don't succeed, then that failure is on you and you treat with that. But it's different when you're leading an organization and that you get blamed for everything that goes wrong in that organization, even though you are not part of what may have gone wrong in actuality. So for me, the thing that keeps me going really is a passion to see people, Tobago grow and develop, and to see people grow and develop. And I say to myself, the day that I wake up and I don't want to do this job anymore, I will resign. Because I think that these jobs require people who are passionate. Because sometimes you have to see the bigger picture. If you stay in the mud, you're standing in the mud, and you just all you see is the mud, then you're not going to look up and see the beautiful sky over your head. And you're just going to focus on the mud beneath your feet. So I try to look at the sky above me. And that's the thing that I keep reaching for. I keep reaching for that sky. Don't mind the mud below my feet. I'll keep reaching for that. So that leadership really requires passion. Right. It requires people who are committed to the outcome. So that even though you're here now, you're putting one foot in front of the other, because that is where it will take you. That's where you have to get to the destination.
And speaking of leadership, we recently witnessed a leadership crisis, in essence, within the PDP, where you had that fallout between the political leader, Mr. Duke, and Chief Secretary Fali Augustine. And these are two people that have been quite influential in your life. I mean, Mr. Duke was able to get you on board with the politics, and Mr. Augustine is someone that you have known for quite a number of years. How did that situation impact you? And or did it impact you at all? Or how, were you disappointed? Like, what were your feelings towards that whole situation?
Well, I was actually out of the country when the situation erupted. I was attending a conference in the Cayman Islands. And so I wasn't physically on the ground to get a sense of what was really, really happening. And I'm not on Facebook, so it's not like if I was able to see, what was the brouhaha and whatnot. Got the information subsequently. To be honest with you, I'm at the place where I am focused on people and delivering to the people. And I think that has to supersede any disagreement or any fallout or any sort of situation. If we are past the point of no return, I'm not sure. But the reality is that if we came in here with a mandate, people voted us all in collectively last year. I mean, what a difference a year makes, certainly. But I'm hoping that the mindset has not changed, at least on the side of Mr. Duke, because we are clear where we stand right now, that our focus is on delivering to the people. I can't be worried about what Mr. Duke's grouse is or whatever. That's not my concern, because my thing is that if he chooses to treat it in a particular way, that is his prerogative. But he's also an elected representative. And the reality is that we all need to work together for the betterment of the people. So my view is that whatever the challenge is that resides between the both of them, the chief secretary and that individual, they are the ones that could possibly sort that if they choose to. And if they don't choose to, at the end of the day, the people should not be the ones who are caught in the middle. We have to recognize that we all took an oath to serve without fear, favor, malice, or ill will. And that is an oath that I take very, very seriously. Yeah.
And you said that you take that oath very seriously. How would you say that you have really fulfilled that mandate or fulfilled that oath towards the people within this past year? what is one thing that you said that you think that you did execute to the greatest of your ability?
Oh, well, we've had a long year of delivery, but it's not me alone. I don't take full credit for anything that we have done. There's an ecosystem of persons who, if I didn't have that ecosystem of persons working behind the scenes, none of this stuff would get done. So, I mean, I have to take this opportunity to thank the Assistant Secretary for her able support over the last year, certainly the administrator of the division, certainly the heads of our units, certainly the chairmen and CEOs and the boards of directors of our different companies. But more importantly, the staff, the ones who get it done, the ones who stay back late to do purchase orders in the accounts department, the procurement department of only 4 people who are run ragged because we bring things basically outside of their timelines and they still get it done. The people who show up every single day wanting to give of their best, these are the people who get the job done. You know, as a secretary, you're there and you're the one that gets the public credit for it. But we have to find mechanisms, in my view, to reward persons within our divisions, so that my focus for fiscal 23 is actually inward facing, building out the human resource, building out our capacity within our human resource, motivating them, challenging them in a good way so that people can now be stretched in terms of their own personal growth and development, making room for promotion and opportunities for persons to move into positions where they are better qualified and they can be better remunerated for. You know, we have to inculcate a culture of performance within our Tobago House of Assembly. What has largely happened is that if you see delivery, it's really only a handful of people who might have been the ones really putting their shoulder to the wheel and carrying the boulder up to the top of the hill. But we all need to collectively get together, because if a handful of people can get so much done, then let's imagine how more people, having more people into the mix, what more we can do. The reality is that coming in, I wasn't aware of some of the challenges that we face within the THA, because I think what we see a lot on the outside is more of the lower level type challenges in terms of people who operate at the lower end of the scale, in terms of those entry-level positions and those programs like URP, CPEP, those are the things that you kind of hear. But you don't understand that at the level of middle management, senior management, there is actually a dearth of qualified persons. There's a dearth of qualified persons who can really transform that middle management and that supervisory. So that when you find that there are a lot of demotivated staff on one end of the scale, is because that you really don't have the best kind of mix for them in terms of supervisors and management who could now be tactical and strategic in their focus. Also, personally, we need a lot of personal development in leadership, because we have a lot of persons in supervisory positions who really can't lead, and that leads to a toxic work environment. We have to transform the culture within the THA, and really, in my view, for me, it's one thing for us to be on the outside doing a lot of things. I think we've demonstrated to the Tobago public that we can get things done, we can execute well, we can have the events, have the festivals, have things going on. But that comes at a cost. There's a human cost to success. So that now we're looking in, we're reviewing the last year, and we're looking at the human cost of that success. And the human cost is burnout. The human cost is exhaustion. The human cost is demotivation. So these are some of the things that we want to treat with in a real way. Yeah.
All right. And then what would you say is one of those lessons that you learned over the past year of that time in leadership?
No man is an island. No man is an island. You, as a leader, you have to know when to lead and when to follow. You have to listen more than you speak. You have to be able to balance your emotions. You have to give people the opportunity to show themselves to you. You can't walk into a situation with preconceived notions of anything. It really is a challenge in the sense that, you know, if you're coming from a very political place, you are tempted to see life through politically colored lenses. But as a leader, you have to practice neutrality. You have to be able to always ask yourself if I'm operating at my highest self at all times. Because you're not allowed to have a bad moment. You're not allowed to break down. Not in front of your team. You could go behind closed doors and have a bad moment and have a breakdown. But when you appear in front of your team, they're looking to you. They're looking at your behavior, because they become byproducts of the kind of leader you are. So that for me, I look at leadership as a gift. It's not an entitlement, because, I mean, I'm appointed, I'm not elected. So that if the chief decides in the morning he wants to take away my appointment, there's nothing that I could do about that. I go back to being my regular old self, yes? But in this time to receive an appointment, I see that as a gift. And I see that as a gift, not that I did something to deserve it, but I see it as giving me the opportunity to now impact the people within that space in a particular way. And I always approach it from that standpoint, understanding that leadership is a gift, it's not an entitlement. So that keeps me humble, it keeps me focused, it keeps me grounded, it keeps me not in awe of everything that has happened. Because people would think that my life has changed so much because now you're in this position, you're getting more money, you're getting to travel, people are treating you a particular way. I'm still the same person that I was last year. I still hold on to the things that I hold near and dear, the values that I hold near and dear. I still go to the supermarket and pick up 2 cricks and a pack of cheese, and that's all I eat when I go home because I'm not used to the so-called rich life. That's not my life, and it hasn't changed because I have access to a little bit more money now. The reality is that we're all only here for a time. The seat doesn't belong to us. You know, the seat of power or the seat of representation, it doesn't belong to us. But what is more important is what you do when you have the opportunity. And that is why I approach this as it being a gift. I pray every day that I continue to remain steadfast in the resolve that we're here to serve the people. And that's all. That's it for me.
Okay. And now as we look into 2023, we have a lot of things in the plans in terms of like jazz and so on. What can people expect? What deliverables that they can see from the division as to some of these things?
So as I said to you, my focus as secretary over the next year will be inward facing, because I recognize that even to get all of those things done that people see on the outside, there's a human cost to that. And we have not been depositing into our human resources for a very long time. We are working with skeletal staff in some areas within the division. We're working with skeletal staff in some areas in our companies. So we have to build out our systems robustly. That's one. 2, we have to do our training internally. We have to reverse a culture of lack of performance and demotivation, and get it to the place where everybody's on the same page and wants to perform, is passionate about what we're doing. So that there are things that we have on the books that people are used to. You will see a jazz happening. Something will be happening
and
for
what
Carnival in
would it
February.
look like? Would it be different
No,
from
we're
what
planning. We're planning that now, because the reality is that certainly one of the biggest constraints we have is finance. We put forward a budget to central government. They looked at it, they said it was good, but they still gave us what we would normally get every single year. So we've had to reprioritize. As a secretary, I don't necessarily want us to continue spending money on events, but my staff is not getting their overtime. That doesn't make any sense. It means that I'm demonstrating that I don't care about the people who come out every day to work and give up their best. So I want to ensure that people get paid their overtime when they work. We have lifeguards who have not had equipment for a number of years. I want to ensure that these lifeguards get their equipment. And if we have to forego some of the events for us to be able to equip our staff better and pay them on time, that is a decision that is easy for me to make, because at the end of the day, it's all about the people. The events can't be pulled off if the people who have to do it are not comfortable. So I want to ensure that our people are comfortable first, that we put systems in place to ensure that they are comfortable, that persons who have been outstanding in terms of training for a very long time have access to that training this year. We want to institute some policies that would really begin to try and improve the life of the people who are working within the division. And it's because of some of the constraints we have, we still have some space constraints, because you're talking about, even if we have to bring people on board, we have to find place to put them. So it means that we may have to look at some kind of flexible policy where some days people work at the office, some days people work home. Who is able to get access to that flexible policy? We have to look at ways at how we could build our human resource, because it's all about the people. At the end of the day, nothing gets done if the people are not in a good place to perform. So the focus has to be really on ensuring that we create a performance environment. We create an environment where people have all the tools to do what they have to do, and certainly give them the opportunity to do the job, so that we're going to have things happening and people are going to see it because we're going to market everything and we're going to ensure
are we going to have the information about it in
yes, certainly,
good enough time?
certainly, because we see that marketing is very critical, and marketing not just from the standpoint of what is happening within the division, but we've actually given TTAL an expanded mandate to market on behalf of the companies as well. So they will be taking on some of the marketing responsibility for the same events and festivals that you see, whether they come out of TFCL or TPAC. The idea is that we don't want the companies to work in silos anymore. So we bring all of them to the table, and each person brings their strengths and their resources to the table so that collectively it's a collective effort and it's a collective success at the end of the day. Because we recognize that we will not ever get all that we ask for. So we have to pool our resources. We have to better manage the limited resources that we do have. And we have to ensure that we get optimum, we get maximum from the resources that we have in the pot. So, I mean, this year is going to be a year of transformation in my view. We're going to be strategic and intentional about what we do, because I have a list of all the things that we did, but we have to ensure that everything that we do, there's a performance measurement aspect to that we're hitting our KPIs, that we ensure that we're not just having things for having things sake, but there's a focus, there's a purpose behind it, and that at the end of it, after we've spent money, after we've spent time, after we've taken people away from their homes and their lives for a little while to get the thing done, that it really is truly a success.
All right. And as we're getting ready to wrap up, Ms. Boris, I just want you to just take a couple of minutes to address Tobago and to tell them, about your commitment, or what is your commitment for the next year, and just a little reflection on this past year, and the person you are as a leader and taking tourism forward.
So a couple years ago, I started dubbing my years. So this year was actually my year of alignment. Now, I certainly didn't know that I would be sitting in this chair at this time. A year ago around this time, we were in the run-up to the election. I was in the campaign, and I had no clue what God had in store for me. So I'm here now, and I feel like if everything that I've done in my life has led me to this place, and that while I am here, that I will continue to do the thing I think that God has purposed me to do. As I said, leadership is a gift, and it's something that I cherish. And for me, it's so important that people understand that a leader doesn't stand by themselves. That a leader, although they may be carrying or appear to carry the bulk of the load, the reality is that when you have a people united behind one purpose, the load is not that great because we are all sharing the load. Tobago has to share that load because it's not just up to me to get 100,000 visitors in the island. It's not just up to Chief Secretary Augustine to go out there and look for the development and look for those linkages to develop the island. That we as a people, when the opportunities are presented, that we ready ourselves to take advantage of that. That we are prepared to dream bigger, because what Carnival certainly showed me in the initial stages where people were skeptical and some people were downright negative about it, and I kept telling people, let's trust the process. Let's use this as an opportunity to see if we can do this thing on our own. In fact, that exposed the ugly side of the relationship between Trinidad and Tobago, because it almost seemed at a point in time that we needed permission from Trinidad to simply have our own version of our carnival. And it can't be that. We cannot be talking autonomy if we are not willing to dream big. And after we dream, we get up and we get the work done. And that is what it has to be. Because Tobago cannot stay in the same place that we've been for the last 21 years. It cannot remain like that. We have to decide as a people that we want to move forward. We have to decide as a people that we're going to try to stand on our own. We have to decide as a people that we're going to learn along the way. We're not going to get it perfect. We're going to make mistakes, but that's fine, because it means that mistakes help you grow. It helps you to become a better person. It helps to give you that kind of experience that you need to do better. So that I want Tobago to dream big, because this administration is about dreaming big. And we don't just want to dream big. We need to get up after we dream, and we need to get the work done. And for me, I recognize that it's hard. We've been used to the same thing for a very, very long time, and it's hard to consider what the other possibilities are. But I'm saying to Tobago that the possibilities are enormous. I'm saying to Tobago that there are so many people outside who want us to win. When I travel and I speak to my Caribbean counterparts, they want Tobago to win. They support us. They have a lot of empathy for us. They love us, certainly. So they want to see us win. So why should we downgrade ourselves? Why should we want to lose? Why should we be happy? Why should we be happy if something fails that we've tried to do to benefit Tobagonians? Because if we fail, it means Tobago has failed. So that we shouldn't even be talking about failure. We should be talking about getting better. We should be talking about positive growth. We should have a positive mindset about things. And we should really, I think, take advantage of the fact that we have an administration that is open, that is caring in my view, that is accessible, that wants to listen to people, and we want to get the job done. We want solutions, and we want to ensure that everybody can benefit from what is available out there for us to benefit from.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Tasha Boris, for being on with us and to giving us your perspective on the past year of being the Secretary for Tourism, Culture, Antiquities, and Transportation. And as usual, like these interviews are not quite as detailed as there's so much to get into, but again, these are just reasons why each one of the team should come to us and speak to us a little bit more, because there is a whole lot happening that we don't really get to see as the public. So hopefully, as we continue these discussions, we will work on getting some of that information out. All right, viewers. So thank you for being with us, and thank you for just sticking around and for hearing all that the Secretary had to say this morning. On Monday, we have coming up, we have Miss Sitika Williams-Orr, and this is going to be her first time doing a television interview. So we're going to see what it's been like for her for the past year. She's been pretty quiet, so we're going to get into that. And of course, following her on Monday as well, it's a special GMT 2-hour special. We have Dr. Faith B. Israel, who is the Assemblyman for Bell Gardens. She is also the Secretary of Health, Wellness, and Social Protection, and the Deputy Chief Secretary. So she would definitely have quite a lot to say. And on Tuesday, the 1-year anniversary for the THA, the PDP-led THA, we have none other than Chief Secretary Fali Augustine himself, who's going to spend 2 hours with us, giving us his perspective on the past year. We're going to get a little bit more information as to, how he has handled it. Because it's not been an easy road, and there's been a lot of criticisms that's come his way. So you're going to want to tune in for that conversation. It's going to be one that you don't want to miss. All right, viewers, I want to thank you for being with us. We're in the Christmas season, so please be safe out there in everything that you do, and have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Na, 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 na. Good morning, Tobago. Na, 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 na. Wake up with Candace and Denise here. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong.